And so now we're at the bottom of this big icy hill, and we have no way to climb the hill up. We have one-wheel drive. Because that's what most cars are, one-wheel drive. You have a limited slip, you may get two-wheel drive sometime, but for the most part, one-wheel drive. If you've got four-wheel drive, you get your left front tire and your right rear tire going. You're still only two-wheel drive. If you're really lucky and your Subaru is tuned up really good and you have less than 75,000 miles on it, maybe all the synchros are going to grab all four corners, but still most of the time, not. Okay? So you're there, you're suddenly going to climb this hill, you think you don't need your chains, and what do? Well, there's a couple things real easy to do.
Call Grumpy Joe.
Don't call Grumpy Joe, because I'm going to laugh at you. We've all seen cinders on the highway, right? Cinders are great. Kitty litter's great, gravel's great. A bag of sand on ice is very good. Okay? You can actually use oatmeal if you want to, but we don't carry oatmeal in the car. But if you really get stuck, and the cinders really aren't doing it, how are you going to get all that ice out from under your car? You just carry a little box of that ice melt stuff. Okay, you'd be surprised when you slide in the bank, and by the time the tow truck guy gets there and he's trying to pull you out, and you suddenly got this huge patch of ice underneath there, you can't walk, you can't talk, you can't do anything, everybody's soaking wet. Just a little bit of ice melt suddenly makes everything a little bit easier. Okay, so it doesn't take a whole lot to put this in the back of your car. As you can see, the ice cream buckets, because I don't care what anyone says about processed foods, ice cream is good for you.
Because it makes you
If you
happy.
don't like ice cream, I don't like you, so that's the way it's going to be. But they stack. You stack in your car, you put a lid on the top one, and so you can have all this stuff sitting in the back of the car all winter long, and it doesn't take up a whole lot of space. This little bit will save you a lot. We've all seen the farmer's commercial with kitty litter behind, but what's the one problem with using kitty litter at the home? Has anybody tried it before? It gets all wet and soggy and nasty. No cat lovers in here? I love you all even better. I'm a dog lover. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a dog lover still. But if you put the kitty litter down, you walk across it, you come in the house, you get this cape matting stuff that gets in your carpet and you cannot get it out. Do not use kitty litter anywhere near your house for traction. But the cinders, you can even throw down your sidewalk at your house, so when it ices up in the morning, you can walk right out to your car and not slip and fall on your tushy. Okay? Very, very important. Okay.
Honey, are you hearing this?
Where do you buy cinder?
Yeah.
We're actually going to sell in 5-pound bags as soon as I get around to picking it up and loading up the bags.
Post that on Facebook when you get it.
We will.
Also, I have something to throw in here because it's important. If you use regular ice melt around artificial stone, it will dissolve your artificial stone.
It also ruins my deck.
Yep. And there's a bunch of different brands
And
out
cinder
there.
doesn't do that, but cinder does destroy wood floors, like this one.
Oh yeah, horrible on the floors.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, just from,
Yeah.
so not to distract from his point, my point, yes,
There's different chemicals, formulas on the ice melt.
yes. Some are more caustic than the others. Some are considered natural, some are not natural. The better ones is the one you like. To be honest, I buy the cheapest stuff I could find. No matter what you put down, it all turns white, it all contaminates, it all is going to affect the water table, it's all bad.
cinder's really the best.
That's why the states don't use it on the highways anymore.
Efficacy, what's
Yeah.
efficacy though?
So,
What
I
about
mean,
salt?
There's the phosphorus.
What about salt?
some people use salt for the water softeners. It's more whatever you find is the best.
But it's same thing. It
Correct, it all
Medicine,
corrodes,
stuff.
it's all bad for the environment, it's not good. It wasn't meant to be that way, that's why I use the cinders. Okay, that's a byproduct of the melting down at the foundries and stuff like that. You know, very few of the cinders actually come from a volcano like we all thought they did, but it's good stuff, and it's actually what they're using on the highways too, to increase traction. So you got the cinders, you got the kitty litter or whatever. You know that you're going to have chains in your car. You know to make sure your four-wheel drive is going to work when you get to your friend's house. But how many of you guys have a shovel in your car?
Why do you not?
I got a little samurai that
Look
can
at
go
two
anywhere. Okay?
safety people.
With this little shovel, when I went into the snowbanks, I was able to dig the front fender out the snowbank and still drive out. As Caltrans sat there and said all sorts of mean things to me and stuff like that. And I laughed at him and said, really, guy? Dig out the front bumper, put it in four-wheel drive load, back right out, and I'm on my way again. I backed up. I said, see, it's not that big a problem. Fools and flatlanders predict the snow. The rest of us just deal with it. If you don't have a shovel, you can't get yourself out.
That's what your bumper sticker should say.
Yes. It will eventually, okay? But a little shovel like this, they're not that much. I mean, I think I paid 20 bucks for this one, God knows how long ago, but it helps.
12 years
Okay,
ago.
12 years ago. Now, after I used this to dig my Samurai out, the guy with the big 10-ton snow grader cleaning the highway, Caltrans guy that was ruder than I was, he slid into a ditch too with a brand new truck. I go, I'm the cop, and I know your boss's phone number. So I called his boss and said, hey, that guy was rude to me and wasn't paying attention where he's driving. He drove it into a ditch. You're gonna need a big truck to
I
get
think
it
he was
out.
on a cell phone.
He was, yeah.
That's right.
So carry a shovel. It's important. And I brought some other shovels for later to show you as well. But keep a shovel in your car. It doesn't take up all, these things do not take up room. And then you have all the other little things that you have in your car. A blanket, some water bottles, some granola snacks, you know, whatever. We all heard about the car flipped over, they're out in the middle of the desert, and it took them 4 days to find him. He burnt his spare tire to stay warm. Okay, well, why not have a blanket in the car? You're going to the snow. We all know what happens when we go to the snow. We get wet, we get cold, we get tired, we get in the car, we're all cranky, hungry, thirsty, okay? And something bad happens in the car, okay? A little bit of preparedness. Have things in there that you should have anyways, okay? So, you're in the snow, what's gonna be the best thing to drive on? Subarus, okay? Big four-wheel drive trucks, front-wheel drive cars do real well. I put 150,000 miles plus in my Corolla. And I went down to Victorville in that worst storm mid-December, what was it, 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago maybe? And I was late for work and I wasn't gonna hear my captain yell at me. So I said, forget the chains, man, I gotta go. They don't use chains in Canada, they don't use chains in Minnesota, they don't use chains in Chicago, New York, come on.
Jersey.
They have
Jersey.
no, but they have no hills. I know, you're not
Hey.
gonna go outside of the hill.
I grew up in a
I
town.
went down the back grade through the sun with no change or nothing in the worst
I have
storm
seen
we had.
commercials where there's like
Okay.
no tires.
If you drive the right speed, you don't have to worry
I
about it.
lived up in the.
But we don't.
Yeah.
Does anybody know what the speed limit is when they have chain controls out?
That's 75.
Is that with or without the chains on?
25, I think, right?
Both.
That's on the chain.
It's everybody, regardless, when chain controls are out, if they say R2, 3, or 4, everybody cannot go any more than 25 miles an hour within those boundaries. Okay? If you go 25 miles an hour, you're gonna be okay. You slow down to 5, 10 miles an hour, that's when you're gonna start slipping, that's when you start having problems. Aim for the cinders in the middle of the road. If you're out there in the middle of nowhere and nobody else is on the highway, why drive on the ice? Drive on the cinders. They're in the middle of the highway there for a reason. For the smart guys and gals. Okay? Yes.
Can you explain the difference between R2, R3, R4?
Yes. We're getting there.
Okay.
So R2, R3, and R4. Okay, R2 is like, okay, a snowflake is in the air and we're all gonna panic. I'm sure you've all seen that commercial, right? Oh my God! There's a snowflake. And up here in Big Bear, we all panic a lot with it, and the Arctic Circle becomes absolutely horrible. Because they all hit the ice and they all don't know what to do. Okay, so R2 is just the very introduction. It's bad enough that people from Orange County are gonna slip. So put chains on. And then we drive bare asphalt from the dam all the way to Running Springs, and we wonder why.
Yeah.
Okay, why?
Yeah.
Well, it's both to break up the ice on the road and to tear up the asphalt. Okay? All these asphalt companies really rely on us to do that every year. R3, we don't ever see an R3 anymore. R3 was kind of an intermediate, four-wheel drive need to put their chains on too. But we don't do that. We go from R2 now to R4. R4 is, oh my God, there's 2 snowflakes out there. Okay? I drove out in an R4 conditions about the same time to take my wife to Kmart to go to work. I dropped her off at work to find out that nobody else showed up at work, but in the parking lot was a highway patrolman. And you know how highway patrolmen are, they are the master drivers. I was the deputy sheriff, okay? I knew how to drive, I knew how to get in and out of my car, I knew how to write tickets, I knew how to do all my stuff. This guy knew how to drive. Drove himself right up on top of about 5 foot of snow, he couldn't get his tires to do anything because he's stuck. And he's stuck in the middle of the worst storm and he can't even do what he's supposed to do, keep people off the highway. Why? Because he's playing in a parking lot. Now, I've known the guy for a few years, so I drive up with my truck. I hook up my little cable and I go up to him, pull him off. So there you go, guy. He goes, hey, by the way, Joe, there's no driving out here without snow chains on.
Put him back up.
There you go, again. You catch me and you can give me a ticket, all right? All right. So, being Smart ass.
Rub
I get in my
it,
truck,
block.
put it in drive, one wheel drive. Oh, I forgot to lock the hubs. I drove all the way over in R4, oh my God, there's 2 snowflake conditions. It made it all the way to Kmart in 2-wheel drive. So I get out of the truck real quick, hold on, lock the hub. Now, if you catch me, you write me that ticket. Put it in 4-wheel drive, drove all the way home, no problem. Okay? The only time I needed change on my truck, even in R4, was if I was pushing snow. And most of the time it's gonna be the same for you. But you don't know when your 4-wheel drive is not gonna work. Okay, so you gotta have something. You gotta have some traction device. Spike spiders are real popular because they're easier to put on. But after you see how easy cables are to put on, why have a piece of plastic that's gonna snap? You know, not good. The sock, everyone's all excited about this new thing called the sock. It's just this big nylon thing you pull over your tire and you drive on. And that's great up in Canada and in north New York, Tahoe and stuff where you actually have snow. But we have asphalt we drive on. You drive 15 miles on that sock and it's done. Take your shoes off and walk around on the asphalt for a while on your socks and see what they look like. They're all torn up and shredded. It's not good. And it's the same thing with this sock. And there's a bunch of other ones out there, but these cables are so easy to put on. And there's a couple of styles that you could use. So I also brought a couple of visual aids so you can kind of see what is the best chain, cable, whatever. And there's a lot of different sizes out there and stuff to look at. These are the monsters. Okay? This is what most of the tractors and delivery trucks are riding around on. This is an alloy chain. It's hardened. It'll last most trucks 10 years. That's the big 8,000-pound Stater Brothers truck. They can probably get 10 years out of them if they use them correctly. Most of them don't put them on correctly. We hear them go down the road, right? Chunk, 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 chunk. They don't put them on right, and we're going to cover that. So these are the big heavy ones. This is what everybody used to buy. These are really cute. But that's about all it is, cute. This is only 4mm chain. Okay, that's not a whole lot. It's okay for a Toyota, but nowadays with the sensors and stuff, you can't ride on chains like this. It's going to destroy your sensors. So, not good. This isn't very good. These are the 2 most popular size, 5.5 and 6mm. Okay, so the 2000 series chains, you know, simple enough. QG 2000, 2021, stuff like that. That's what most of the light-duty trucks and SUVs are using. The 3000 series are what more of the plow trucks would be using if it's a homeowner doing the plow service. But the plow trucks want a hardened chain, so they'll actually go from the 6mm to either 7 or 8, like what I showed you there earlier. Then we get the real crazy guys. And I want to pass these around so you guys can kind of look at them and see the difference here. Just kind of pass it around. That's 5.5 and 6, and that's 10. Okay, 10 is what the big tractors drive around on. Okay? These are SUV cables, and I get a lot of people asking me, why can't I get your $35 cables, Joe? It's just a minivan. Well, you compare the size of this cable to the size of this cable. This is designed for a 3,000-pound car. This is designed for an 8,000-pound truck. Your minivans and your small SUVs are over 4,000 pounds. You can't go on this little stuff and expect to make it down to the other bottom of the hill. It's not strong enough. That's why the bigger tire sizes take the bigger cables. Now the ones I sell, and the reason I sell is, if you notice, the links slide back and forth on mine. Okay? It's designed so it can slide on the tire. It's not pinched in one spot. It doesn't create extra friction on the cables. I like that idea. I like it a lot. They're designed to move. You can't expect anyone to drive on ice with steel tires and get to where they're going. Having the movement allows it to move around and give you the traction you need, both forward and back, as well as side to side. It gives you that little extra bite. Okay? And then there's 2 styles here. You have your ladder style, okay? This is the most common. This is a duplicate of the old ladder chains we used to use. okay? And then you have what's called the Z style, and if you see, it kind of zigzags back and forth across the tire. I like this style. I use this on my Toyota when I was really in a hurry and I had time to put on the chains. How many people have come up through Mitsubishi Canyon when there's ice? It's 16% grade, okay? You are going to spin your tires there. The biggest reason chains fail is spinning your tires. I'm only going 5 miles an hour. Speedometer saying 120, but you're only going 5 miles an hour, okay? The heat builds up and these things fail. With these, okay, you get a little bit more traction. The ones that I bought are actually a higher grade, more like what the police use. I was able to take that thing at 25 miles an hour speed with wheel speed at about 90. I just climbed up that thing all the way up and I didn't care. But I bought it because I knew I was going to use it. So when I really wanted to make sure that I could get where I'm going, I did this. Now my new box truck, this is the style I use. It's the truck style, the big heavier cables, but it's the same pattern. It's a lot quieter. It's still loud in there. I mean, you're adding bumps to your tire. It's going to be loud, you know. But I got better traction. It went from I couldn't go forward anymore. 5 minutes later, I'm back in my truck laughing at the football players in front of me, and I'm going nice and smooth. And I had no slippage at all. It tracked beautiful. That's why I like these. Okay? Two different styles. These are a little more expensive. These are 65 to 85. These are 35.
90.
Huh? Well, and on the SUVs, it's 90. Yes, on the big trucks, it's 90. Okay? So, how do you put them on? Well, it's so easy to put these on.
Be nice if our tires were always up on a little stand like that.
Oh, yeah, because I wouldn't get
Front-wheel
so.
drive cars are just as easy though.
I know, I've actually put mine on many times, it's not that hard. But I want to
These
say
are
the thing
actually-
you said about, you know, we think four-wheel drive is better in a big truck. Someone from Colorado once told me, four-wheel drive is just four-wheel slide.
Yeah. But you know, on my excursions, when I go out to 38 and I hit that long 1.25 mile run by Horseleaf Canyon, they call it the airplane run, highway patrol stuff. It's where it'll hide in the corner and hit you with the radar every time. When I hit that in my big truck, it's like a bar soap on the lake. Okay, 20 miles an hour. Here we go, girl. Here we go. It doesn't matter what I do. When you hit the ice, you can hit the ice, and there's nothing that's going to keep you straight. Even with the spikes in your tires, you hit that ice, you're still going to be doing some sliding down. So,
Slow
these-
down.
20 miles an hour is the tops. Go below 20 miles an hour, you may not be able to recover. So 15 to 20 is ideal when it's really ugly. So as you see, this is kind of a 3-point hook, okay? No, this isn't a bustier, okay? It's a 3-point hook. And the way it's designed is, one side says tire side. It's convenient for the people from Orange County because they can't figure it out, okay? So you have one side that's flat that goes against the tire. And you have one side that has a whole bunch of knobs and cleats and stuff like that. You don't want those knobs and cleats rubbing on your tire. It creates heat and friction and this will fail and your chains will fail. So you lay it on the ground with the flat side pointing up. I step on the little plug here and you just throw it around the base of the tire. When you throw it around the base of the tire, you're going to hook the one bottom hook. You just avoided the driving back and forth to hook your tires up. Okay? So then you just pull it up. Yeah, it would be easier if you did it outside. You just pull it up, you reach behind the tire, you hook the back hook, like a Batman pulling up his pants, you shake the cables, and you hook the front hook. And they're on. I mean, it is really, truly that easy to put these on. And I can do these about that same speed on the ground in the worst snow conditions, getting wet and drippy as I'm alongside the highway. Okay? And then you put the big rubber bands on. Everybody tries to grab these things and hook two hands, one on this side, one on the other side. Real simple. You just grab it like this. Thumbs underneath the cable, grab the cable, pull the cable down, and roll the little hook cable. Okay, you have more strength gripping like this than you will trying to meet those two together like this. You get more people alongside the road slipping out underneath because of pushing and pulling and hitting their face on the tire. People like me, I love it. Just like I said, at the base of Bear Mountain and videotape you guys coming down the slope and wrecking. I love videotaping people putting chains on, falling on their face. It is funny. It is really, truly funny.
You have some YouTube videos?
I'm going to be posting some YouTube this year, okay? It is humorous. I went out and put chains on one guy's car in a minute and 30 seconds, as I explained to him in great detail. I went back in my store because I'm not allowed to install chains. A half an hour later, I went out and said, "Guy, you're putting them on the wrong axle. What are you doing wrong?" I said, "They go up here, they go on like this, it's not that hard. I can't get it to hook on." He was a doctor. I believe he was a surgeon. Holy smokes. Okay, hopefully he didn't have to do that. Okay, now the more common chains that we install, the most common chains that you guys are going to encounter are these ladder chains. And the reason I like them is they're so easy to put on. Okay, you're going to put them on most front-wheel drive cars on the front tires. That's where you want your traction. And the reason I like front-wheel drive versus all-wheel drive, when you chain up the front end, you're driving, digging with the chains, and you're steering, digging with your chains. If you're just in four-wheel drive and you're trying to steer, you don't have that same traction grip. Okay, so we're going to pretend this is actually on the car. This is the front of the car, this is the back of the car. Okay, it's so easy. Again, we take the flat sides down. You want everything to point away from the tire. So the little L hook, you want it to point away. You just throw this up over the top of the tire. Okay, so one clip on the inside and 7 clips on the outside. Balance it so the chain's centered on the tire. No more than 2 knots off between the two. And then these little plastic cleats, you just snap in the extra chain. You're done. I mean, anyone can do that. I had a 90-year-old woman do her entire car in 5 minutes last year. I wish I would have videotaped it. Okay? Now, I'm actually thinking about doing a contest with every group out here and say, the one who gets the most likes on YouTube will win my charitable donation to their cause. And their contest is going to be where there's the elite cheer 10-year-olds doing the bricker-bracker firecracker thing while the coach is trying to figure out how to put the chains on, okay? Or the bodybuilders I have down in the desert, they're going to come out all pumped up, pushing each other, having a little roid rage fight, and then just lift up the car and put the chains on, okay? Whatever works, whatever's going to beat it. My goal is to beat the 350,000 hits that Bear Mountain has with the skinny girl in the bikini. Yeah. Who did it upside down, backwards, and wrong. Okay? So, if they can do it, anyone can do it. I'm going to have these videos, as soon as my website's ready, available on my website.
And we'll
Okay?
put this one on our Facebook page.
And even better than that, I'm going to have the videos on a little QR decal on every single box of chains I sell. Okay, so I got that idea off of another person who sent me products to sell in my store. Look, there's a video. Oh, click. Oh, that's how it works. Why not do that on the chains? How expensive was it? It didn't cost me anything to make the QR logo. I got it. There it is. Boom. So that's how easy to put these on. These cables take no binders. Okay? They're designed to slide back and forth, so there's no binders. So not only are they only $35 instead of $50, but you don't have to pay the extra $8.99 for the binders every 2 years. That's it. $35, they're done.
They don't slide around?
They do slide around a lot. That's what they're designed to
But They
do.
is it the
slide off?
traction?
No, if you put them on correctly, they won't pull off the tire. You have to have the back side tight enough that you cannot pull it over the tire. So the proper sizing for your tire size, that's why people come and say, I drive a Toyota, I need chains. That's nice. What tires do you have on your Toyota? Because most of these guys with the bling bling on their cars, they don't have the same size tires on the car that they bought the car with. So what size tire? These are specifically designed for a certain size of tire, a certain width of tire, a certain diameter of tire. And I've cross-referenced it all as well so that I can come back and forth between the two. So if you come in with a unique size tire that I don't have a chain on the charge for, I can show you this is what's going to fit, and I'll actually go out to the car and show you the fit on your car as well. Okay, so
Okay, so Joe, I have to ask you to wrap up and let you go way over time because I thought everybody was
I know.
really interested.
I think-
It was interesting.
So how much money do you guys want to spend on tire chains?
$10.
Why would you spend $10 on a car to save your life?
Because I've had
Just dump
$85 chains in my car for 3 years that I've never even
Then
broken the
buy
seal on the
them
box.
used from Craigslist. You can buy a lot of used ones. If you got a four-wheel drive, you want to do what I've done for the past 12 years, carry an empty bucket and you just shake it for the guy at the checkpoint.
Until your
Most
four-wheel
of the time
drive
it
fails.
works. However, the highway patrol has figured out that that's what they're doing. So they actually are going to start looking at your tire chains. They're actually going to say, open the box. So real quick,
Make
when
sure
you're
they
stopping, you start to slide. What do?
Turn in
Let
the
off the
third,
brake.
turn in the skids.
No, let off the brake.
Screen.
Stop.
Oh, yeah.
You're stopping because
Down-
you locked up. As long as you locked up,
downshift.
you're gonna keep making more ice, you're gonna keep sliding more. Let off the brake, let it start rolling friction again, and then do it. Better than that, drive in second gear when there's a lot of snow and ice on it, you have chain control, you have less traction, or less torque, more traction. Okay, when you're turning, there's two things that can happen. You can oversteer in the turn. Okay, meaning you turn, and suddenly your tail end starts to swing out. Same thing. Let off the gas pedal, don't hit the brakes, and start to slowly return the wheel back up to straight. And you're gonna steer back into it, and eventually you'll get out, or you'll slide out. If you slide more than 15 degrees, your tail end is gonna go all the way around. You can't stop it. Okay, that's why cops aren't allowed to do the pit maneuver over 30 miles an hour. Over 30 miles an hour, you get too much to spin, and you can't control it. After 15 degrees, it's done, the car's gonna spin, okay? So, counter steer, foot off the pedals, or just let the car slide around. Wait till it stops, throw the kitty litter out, turn around and keep on going. The other one is understeer. You go in, you turn, and you just keep going straight. That's the most common one, right? We're going down the hill, we turn, it's not going anywhere. What do you do? Again, start to ease off, and start to ease off the steering as well. And you'll grab, and then you'll start to go again. Okay? Simple enough. Anybody wants to ask more questions afterwards, I'm done. I don't talk fast enough.
Thanks.